Hi friends, this is Becky. Welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about my good midlife crisis, where I am journeying through my 40s and I am working very hard to get my poop in a group. In order to do this, I have been working on my physical, my financial, and my mental health, and today's video is going to be a financial health check-in. Today, I am going to be closing out my April 2023 budget in the Budget by Paycheck book by the Budget Mom, and I am going to be going through my weekly planner, my weekly budgets with you one at a time, but I'm going to try to do this a little quickly because I know these can get kind of long, and I'm not going to go into excruciating detail, but I do kind of want to show y'all how I close out my budget. Disclaimer, I do not use all of the budget pages that the Budget Mom does give us because she does give us a lot, and I do most of my budgeting on the digital app called YNAB, which is You Need a Budget, and there's a link to that in the description box below if you're interested in doing digital budgeting. But I do track it on here just to keep track of my money, and so I can make a plan for it, for how I'm going to do my budget going forward. So if you're new, welcome. This is how I close out my weekly budgets and then my monthly budgets. I'm trying to get better about filming these for y'all, so I did miss March, and I am sorry. April was kind of a rough month for me, and you'll see that reflected in my spending. As I've mentioned in previous videos, if you're not new, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back and sticking with me. But as I've mentioned in my previous videos, the three journeys that I've mentioned at the beginning of this video, they're very closely related for me, my mental, physical, and financial health. And when one is off, I kind of find like they're all off, and my mental health was really kind of off in April, and it threw off my other two journeys as well. You'll see I track my weight. I didn't lose very much weight at all in the month of April. Like right here, I only lost 0.6 pounds, and then I lost another 0.6 pounds from these 2 weeks. And I really think a lot of that is because my sister's birthday would have been this month, and my sister did pass away. There's also just a lot going on around me mentally. A lot of losses going on for friends of mine, which obviously don't directly affect me, but I'm a very empathetic person, and it's hard to watch people that you care about suffer and have it not affect you. I had two different families that I am close with lose family members in the last month, and obviously, again, they're not my losses, but it still affects me mentally, and so anyway. April was really tough for me, so you will see that reflected in my spending. And this month, I did do a lot more spending than is typical for me. But that being said, let's go ahead and get right in. I know this is going to be kind of hard to see, but I wanted to start off with just an overview. I do track my spending on the calendar here, and then you will see when I go into the actual breakdown of the budgets, I track them here as well. So we'll get into those pages here in just a moment. So what these are is I just track them. These sticker colors mean nothing. I just pick a sticker and then I put them on the page. That each color doesn't represent anything specific. So these are just days where I went. So I went to Costco. I had a Thrive Market box. I went to Dutch Brothers, which is a coffee place. I refilled on my app. And then Medina's, which is a restaurant in Lampasas. I went and took my mom and my nephew out for lunch. So this is just an example of some spending that I would do. This was a pretty expensive day for me this Saturday. Normally weekends are going to be a lot more spendy for me than weekdays. These here represent my paychecks. These are birthdays. I did have my cousin's birthday and my nephew's birthday this month, and then obviously it would have been my sister's birthday. So I didn't obviously do anything for that, but that would have been her birthday. And then these little weights here are days that I went to the gym, and these no spends are days that I managed somehow to not spend any money, which for me is quite an achievement. This day here I did go in, hope you can't really see it, but I went in and met, so like I had said, I had some friends who lost a family member. These are three siblings that I have known for all of the two younger siblings' lives and most of the older siblings' life. and I met them. They were in town staying at our granny's house. We have a granny and granddad that we all claim. And really, none of us are actually related to them, but don't tell granny I said that. Anyway, I went and met them all at a restaurant in Lampasas, and I bought them all lunch. So that's what that was. So that was a little bit higher of an expenditure, but that was just, I got to meet up with them and hang out with them and spend some time with them. That was a really good afternoon. That was just a week ago today, actually, last Sunday. So that was important. But this is my overall spending for April. As I mentioned in my May setup, which if you saw it, then you are aware, I did not meet my weight loss goals of 265 pounds. Obviously, I finished at 271.4. I did start off this month at 269, so we're looking better for hitting that goal this month, and I did move this goal over to this month. I did meet my goal of my Saver One card, getting it under 1,200. This is the card that has all my cruise and cruise expenditures on it, and I did also put my mom's propane on there. My mom has a propane tank. She lives out in the country. So I am working on getting this card paid down. And as I mentioned, and if it comes to it, I will tell you what my backup plan is for getting this card paid off. But hopefully I won't have to. I am still hopeful that I can get this card paid off before the interest is due. I do not plan to pay any interest on this card. I do have a backup plan, but I hopefully won't need to use that. And then I was trying to catch up on YouTube creators. I did get a little bit caught up. I am still working on that. So I am still trying to get caught up on my YouTube creators. I did manage to get 8 no spend days this month, which was awesome. I still managed to spend quite a lot of money. So let's get into how I budgeted out my money this month. Okay, so week 1 for me went from March 31st through April 6th. And I did have a paycheck. I did have a little bit of cash back, and then I cashed out my final survey. I was doing some surveys on the go. I can't remember. I've deleted the app now. It was not worth my time. I just needed to get above a certain amount of money so I could cash it out. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was $15 or something you needed to cash out. So I have cashed that out and deleted that app, and I don't plan to do those surveys anymore. So my anticipated income for the first week was $1,704.25. My actual income was $1,709.10, so it was pretty close to what I expected. My bills were exactly what I expected, so that was $290.23. What I put into my envelope, so I normally give myself $50 for dining out, $75 for groceries, $10 for fun, $60 for Ecclesial, which is my church donation, $25 for self-care, $50 for gas, $50 and for pet expenses. Household gets $50. Budgeting, that is for like things related to budgeting, and $100 for gifts and giving, and then also my niece Tiffany. I split the two. That's $100 for the total between those two categories. So like 50-50 or however it needs to be divided up. I ended up going a little bit over on dining out, and groceries. The groceries I intentionally budgeted extra because I knew I was getting that Thrive Market box, so I put an extra in here to cover that, and the dining out because I knew I was taking my mother and my nephew out for lunch at Medina's, as I went over on that first page. Fun, I just put 10. Ecclesial money, I only ended up putting 20 in here just to cover some of the dining out that I knew I had gone over and some of the groceries. Self-care, and it was exactly as expected. Gas, I don't use a lot of gas typically, though this week I have. But normally I don't use a lot of gas, so I ended up using half of that to cover some of the other overages. The pet expenses and the household and the budgeting and the gifts, these are monthly, so I put this in at the beginning of the month, which this was, and then that just stays in there for the full month. This only gets filled once a month. Typically, I did go over in household last month as well, as you will see, because I just ran out of everything last month. But normally this only gets filled once a month. So my total anticipated was $495. I actually ended up spending $510. I tried to come as close as possible, covering from other categories. That left me $908.87 to come up to my sinking funds. Most of my sinking funds are on hold right now while I try to pay off my Capital One Saver One card. But I do give myself $20 in cash every month for stuff I forgot to budget for. That is $20 that I pull out at the beginning of the month and I carry around in my wallet just so I have cash in case of emergency, because you never know when you're going to need cash. And I do have 2 little sinking funds that I do fill. So that's my passport renewal. It's $1.77. And my Find Me Gluten-Free app. I have celiac, so this app I use to help find myself restaurants or places where I can eat safely. If I am out and about, or if I'm looking for a place new to me that I want to go find somewhere to eat, that I can eat safely, because I have to be very careful with what I eat. And since these are both less than $2 a month, I decided to continue filling these, where the rest of them I am holding until I've paid off that card. Medical, I've put $120 a month away to, not away, but like into that category, because I do have some payment plans that I have set up to pay off some medical bills from last year when I was diagnosed with the celiac, because this is a new diagnosis. So I am still paying on some of those. Most of those will be paid off this month, thankfully. So that should be good. And then car maintenance, I had put in $36.40 to try to fill it up a little bit, just to try to fill that sinking fund back up, because I had gotten an oil change. So that was $180.01 in my sinking funds, leaving me $728.86 to come down to my extra savings, which I only do 2 savings right now. I have a 52-week savings, which I know I say this all the time, so I won't go into detail, but I do this backwards and forwards. It works out to be $53 every paycheck for me. So that's how I do the 52-week savings. And then my great nephew, I save $2 every paycheck for him, because I am saving his age. He's not quite 1, but I am saving $1 a week for him, so $2 a paycheck. So $55 total, leaving me $673.86 to roll into week 2. Because I am a weekly budgeter, but a bi-weekly, I get paid bi-weekly, I do roll money over from week to week until the end of the month. I have been, up until this month, closing out my budgets at the end of the month and zeroing them out. But the way the paychecks are working out right now, I'm having to roll cash into the next month. So from April to May, I did have to roll some money in, just because the paychecks are falling oddly now. But like you'll notice this week, I didn't have any rollover. I started, I'm showing you and you can't see. I didn't have any rollover. I started with just my paycheck and the cash back in the surveys. So up until here, I was zeroing out my budget at the end of the month. But now I am having to roll over just to make it work. And also, before we go into week 2, I just want to show you how I do my tracking. I won't go over this in detail every time, but this is how I track, because I know some people wanted me to make this video so you can see how I close out my months. When I do any transactions, I save my receipts. So like this is yesterday, I went to Walmart, I saved my receipt and I will write it down. This is obviously not yesterday, this is last month, but I'll write it down on here and I'll say on the 31st, $130 came out of my checking account for Best Buy, and that was a debt. And I don't highlight it until the end. So like, let me show you currently, right now, I am in May. So here's this week. So, I forgot to put the amount that I spent in Etsy yesterday, because I ordered Life in Envelopes, where I get all my stickers, released a mystery kit this weekend. And I think it's going through Monday, which will probably honestly be the day I put this video up. Maybe I'll get it up tonight. So it's going through the 8th of May. If you are watching this now, currently, you can probably still order it. If you're interested in getting stickers for your planner. She does more than just Budget Mom, but I use the Budget Mom. But anyway, she's where I get my stickers. She did a sticker release, a mystery sticker kit. And so I am excited to try it out, because she and her husband is an artist, and they are collaborating for the very first time. And he designed for her some stickers, and they did a mystery kit release, and I'm super excited to see them. Anyway, I ordered those, and I reordered some of my no spend, and I reordered I ordered some birthday stickers and a couple other stickers. I ordered a couple of stickers on Etsy yesterday, so I spent like $30-something, but I forgot to write it down. But anyway, I write it down like this. Then at the end of the week, because I do this weekly, at the end of the week, I will go through and I will add it up. I did all of this last night. Maybe I should have shown you. But I'll go through and I'll write subscriptions, and I'll write this down, and I'll put a little line here, and I'll be like, okay, that's it. And then I'll write subscriptions and total. And then when I double check my math, that's when I will highlight this line as I go through, and I'll double check. So I'll say health. Let me pick one that has more than one. So home, and I'll put a line here and a line here and here and here and here. And then when I check my math, as I go through and cross it off, I'll highlight it and make sure everything adds up again. And then I'll add it all up at the end. After I've added everything up, I'll add all of these up, and then I will add everything up down here and make sure these two totals are the same. That's how I do my weekly closeouts. For this part, that's how I do my tracking. So I write it all down as I go, just keep track of it all here. At the end of the week, I do my totals. And it only takes about 10 minutes to do it at the end of the week. So it does, you do have to sit down and do it, but it's not super long. And then at the end of the month, you do have to do your numbers, which we'll get to in a minute. So anyway, I don't want to go into detail on this. I just wanted to show you how I do it, because I know that people wanted this video so you can see how I do my closeouts. So let's get into week 2. Okay. Week 2 went from the 7th of April to the 13th of April. Again, this is a Friday to a Thursday. I was anticipating $720.41 of rollover. I only ended up rolling over $673.86, and then I did have $2.52 of cash back. This cash back is always from one of my credit cards, normally my MasterCard, my PayPal MasterCard. And then once a month, my Venmo card will get me cash back too, but that's only once a month. The PayPal card gets me cash back. Well, technically it's every day, but I only cash it out once a week, and then I include it in my rollover. So my total income for week 2 was $676.38. I did have 2 bills. My Adobe Acrobat was $21.64, which was more because it increased this month, and my YouTube Music was $10.81. I am looking at maybe getting rid of Adobe Acrobat. As much as I love it, and I've had it for years, it has gone up, and I honestly do not use it enough to justify almost $22 a month. It makes me really, really sad to be getting rid of it, but I just don't need it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get my planner all in order so that it's the way I like it, and then talk to my friend that I share it with and cancel it, which makes me sad, but I think I'm going to do it. I have canceled YouTube Music, and I have started YouTube Premium, which includes music. So I did just start that Friday. Thursday night, Friday morning. So this is brand new. So this was the last month I paid for YouTube Music. But my bill total for week 2 was $32.45, leaving me $643.93. And here is where y'all don't see when I show you my planning. So, like I said, every week I have these 4 categories: my dining out, my groceries, my fun, and my ecclesial. So every week I budget the $50, $75, $10, and $60. Excuse me. So I did that. I did $50 for dining out, but then I went over in groceries. I went $95.25. My fun was exactly the same, and I actually did use all $60 for my ecclesial expenses, which I don't normally do. That means I did $40 for the donation and $20 for the dining out. But then I ended up having to put money into my giving because I gave, and I think this is where I sent food to Junior. I think that might be what I did. I can't remember because this was a month ago, so don't quote me. But I ended up needing money in giving. I ended up putting money into household because I went over, and then I ended up going even more over the next week. But I pulled that out of gas and medical. So I took $17.78 out of my gas fund because, like I said, I don't use that very much. I don't use gas very much. And medical, I knew I had more money in there than I needed, so I pulled $5.58 out of medical. So this is how I balance it out. I put these in as positive. If I take it out of another category, I put those in as negative. And then when I add it all up, instead of $195 into my envelopes, I ended up putting $245, which left me $398.93. I had no other sinking funds, extra debt, or extra savings, so that $398.93 is exactly what I rolled into week 3. And I do this at the end of every week. I do this, and this is just the way I do it. There is no rhyme or reason to it. I just do it this way. So every week I do a different color, so that I plan it in one color and I close it out in another color, and that's just, and then this is the color that I do the next week. So this light blue is the color that my next week will be. So this $398, and I do this on Thursday nights so that on Friday I make sure this matches what I have in my week 3 in my YNAB. So if you watch both this and my YNAB budget with me's, when you see me budget out on Friday morning, I make sure on Thursday night that this money right here matches what I have to budget out on Friday mornings. And if it doesn't, if it's a couple of cents off, I'll just write a little note to myself that I was a couple of cents off. If it's like last week when I closed it out, it was like $11 off, and I realized that I had actually budgeted the wrong amount for my mom's car insurance, and I just wrote down that that's what I paid, and that's not actually what I paid, so that's why it was $11 off. So I will go back and try to find that if I do that wrong. But if it's just a couple of cents off, honestly, it's probably not worth my time, and I will just assume that I did the math wrong somewhere over here, because I know that what is in YNAB is accurate. So I'll just adjust it off over here and say I was like 3 cents off or whatever. But this was actually exactly what I had, so this was right. So $398.93 was what I rolled into week 3. Week 3 was April 14th through April 20th. I rolled over the $398.93. I had a paycheck of $1673.43. Seth is a friend of mine who took over car payments for one of my cars when my niece moved out. So he pays me every month for his car payment and his car insurance. And then I had $14.65 cash back. That would be from both my Visa and my MasterCard. So that's why that was a little bit higher. So my anticipated was $2,621.80. My actual income was $2,537.01. My bills for this week, everything was exactly the same, except for I did cover my reimbursable, and I think this was the week that I accidentally overpaid one of my cards. If you watch my YNAB budget with me, I wasn't paying attention in the morning one day, and if you're familiar with YNAB, it tells you how much you have available to pay on your cards, and I wasn't paying attention to what I had in my available slot, and I just paid what was due on my card because I like to pay my credit cards off every Friday. I don't like to carry a balance on any of my cards. There are a handful that I carry a balance, but they all have interest free, and I have them all worked out to where I can pay them off by the time the interest is due, before the interest is due. But all the rest of them I pay off every Friday. But this one was reimbursable because somebody owed me $16.38 for their share of something. Anyway, I wasn't paying attention and I paid it. So I just covered that person's share from my ready to be budgeted instead of waiting for them to pay me back. And then when they paid me back, I just put it back into my to be budgeted. That was my mistake. So I hadn't planned on paying that money this week, but I did. So that's why it's green instead of blue. So my actual was a little bit higher than my projected, and my actual bill total was $162.69, leaving me $2,374.32. My bills this week, my envelopes, I had $50 into my dining out, $75 into my groceries, those are exactly, and $10 into my fund. Those are exactly as anticipated. I did not put anything into my ecclesial expenses. $25 into my self-care, $50 into my gas, $50 into my household. This is where extra money went into my household, and then $10 into my giving. So this is where I think, I can't remember why I didn't put anything in ecclesial this week. Honestly, y'all, I cannot remember. My brain is like mush. I'm telling you, April was not a good month for me. But I think if I didn't put anything in here, it's because I used this money to do something church-related with that wasn't actually putting it into the donation. So it was probably related to the giving. So I'm sure I used it for something related to giving. So anyway, And I just didn't count it as Ecclesial because I didn't actually put it in the church donation. The $40 that would have gone into there, I probably used it for something else related to the church, but not actually into the church donation. So that's why I didn't put it there. Anyway, so that is what that is. So my total for this section was $270. And that gives me a total of $2,104.32 left over. And because this was a paycheck week, I did have my two savings, my 52-week savings, again, $53 every paycheck, and then for my great nephew, $2 every paycheck, so a total of $55. The sinking funds are only once a month, so that didn't come out this time. That gives me a rollover into week 4 of $2,049.32. And then we'll go into week 4, which is the final week of April for me. Okay, I just remembered what that was. We did not have the room for the church that week. They had double booked it, and that's why I didn't put anything in for the donation, and I used that money to send food to the family whose mother was passing away, and they were at the hospice with her, and so I sent them some food. That is what I used that money for. So now I remember. I was like, I knew there was a reason that I didn't put it in the Ecclesial, but I did use it, but I couldn't remember what it was. So I rolled over $2,049.32 from the previous week, and then I had $1.17 of cash back. Oh, sorry, week 4 went from $421 to $427 for me for April. This was probably the hardest week. Like April, this week, I'm going to be surprised if I remember anything. This was only last week. This was just last week for me, and it was such a blur. It was such a bad week for me. But anyway, I survived it. But anyway, there's a pretty pink color. I love this color. My total income was projected to be $2,150.49, but it was $2,050.49. It was exactly $100 less than expected. I don't know how I managed to be exactly $100 less, but I did it. My bills were all almost the same. My water was a little bit less. I always budget $120. It's not normally $120. It was only $99.53. And then Seth's car. Seth is the person I was talking about who pays me for his car. So his car payment, the actual minimum payment due is $269.85. But what we used to pay, what the minimum payment used to be before I refinanced it, was $269.85 plus $55.42. So that's what we pay. But because we pay extra every month, the amount goes down every month until it reaches 0, and then it resets itself. So right now, all it auto drafted was $151.32 out of my account, and then I make the extra payment. And then I'll continue to do that, and eventually it will not auto draft anything, and then the next month it'll auto draft the $269.85 and it'll reset itself. So all it auto drafted was the $151.32. My mom's phone was $61.79, and then I ended up putting propane in my mom's tank because it was getting warmer, and I thought we were going to be good. And then I woke up and it was like 49 degrees, and it was really, really cold. And she needed propane, so I put propane in my mom's tank. So my projected bills were $764. What I actually ended up spending was $923.58, leaving me $1,126.91. I only ended up putting $46.17 into my dining out. I did use $75 into my groceries, and here, look at this. Look at this. Normally I put $10 a week into my fund money. I put $70.37 into my fund money. Did I mention that this was a really bad week for me? I will say that for me to spend money on myself, on fund money, is really unusual. Normally this category just builds and builds and builds and builds. This was mostly books on Audible, and as I mentioned in previous videos, yes, I did look on Hoopla, I looked on Libby, I looked at my library. These books were not available. I cannot find them anywhere else other than on Audible. So I have been listening to them on Audible. It's a series, and I think I just downloaded book 7 today. I just bought the next one. I'm really enjoying them, but I cannot find them anywhere else. So yes, that is that is how much money I spent. There was also some movies in here too. So there were some movies, there were some books. I spent some money on myself this week, and I needed it. I really did need that for my mental health, and I am thankful that I was in a position to be able to pull from other categories, which I did, to be able to cover it, but I did that. The ecclesial expenses, it looks weird, but that is because I pulled this money out in cash, all of it, because I went to Lampasas. I just got cash back, and I was in Lampasas this week. This is the week that I went to, and I took them out for lunch. So this was, that week. So I went to Lampasas and I just had it in cash. And then I pulled money out of gas. I pulled money out of what was left in my cruise, which I didn't even know I had money left in that category. I pulled some money out of car maintenance, which I had put in at the beginning of the month, and then I pulled it out. And then I put money in giving to cover some of what I bought them for their food. So I was anticipating putting $195 into this section. I ended up putting $215.47. Like I said, I try really hard to cover as much of it as I can with what I can in here, but I can't always cover everything. So I did pull some money out of dining out. I did pull some money out of gas and cruise and car maintenance, but some of it I did just cover from what I had in my ready to be assigned. So that left me $911.44, which y'all can't even see. I'm sorry, I'm talking away and you can't see what I'm talking about. So $911.44. This is where I had the extra payment. So like I said, the total payment that I make for Seth's car is the actual total previous what it was due. So I made the extra $173.95 car payment. And then I made $286.32 payment to Saver One. It was going to be a lot more. It was going to be $586.32, but I had to get $300 worth of propane for my mom. So that $300 went to the propane. So my total for my extra debt payment was $460.27, leaving me $451.17, which I rolled into my May budget. And I needed to roll $450 into May to cover the bills at the beginning of the month. So that is why I did that. And then I had $1.17 because I had that cash back, and that's what that is. So now I'm going to show you, I only do just the percentage pages at the end of this book. So let me at the end of the month. So let me show you my percentage pages. So honestly, I don't even know why I do both of these because I don't need to. So I did this one, Where Did My Money Go? Which is just tells you, you're supposed to compare what you budget to what you spend, but I don't really do that. I just do what I spent to my percentage. So my total monthly inflow for the month of April, which I don't really use savings use. This is what I add up all of my actuals. So I don't count the rollover because obviously I've already counted that as income. So what I do is I count my paychecks and what Seth gives me and the cash back. And if I had any other income, like I would count that too. And I count all of that. So my paychecks, my cash back, my surveys, I count all of that money, and that is my total monthly inflow. So in the month of April, I brought in $3,850.87. And then I take all of these that I have added up on these pages here, and I add up all of what I spent in home at the bottom of every one of these pages. And then I add up everything I spent in fun and everything I spent on debt and everything I spent on medical. And I do that. And like I said, I do keep track of what I spent on giving, just as a giving category in general, like what I spent on birthday presents and holiday presents and buying food, like when I sent food to my friends whose mom passed away, things like that. And then what I spend on my mom's bills, I do track that separately just so I can know in my own head what I'm spending on my mom's bills. Again, not because I'm gonna stop doing that, just so I know what I'm spending, just for my own knowledge. So I do track those two things separately. That is something that I've only been doing the last couple of months, but I do that. So anyway, I keep track of all of that, and it just tells, and then I divide it by this number here, and then you multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. So that is how I get these. And then honestly, it's just the exact same thing on this side, and it compares it to last month. So I don't even need to really do it to this month. I could just do it to last month. But what you do, you're supposed to say the difference from the previous month to this month. So because I didn't film a closeout for March, y'all are not aware, but my March budget, I brought in $3,807.46, and then my April budget, I brought in $3,850.87. So there was an increase of $43.41. Basically, pretty much the same income from month to month for me. May, nope. February I had quite a bit more, but I think that's because I had my tax refund, and then Nathan paid me back for his cruise. So that was like an outlier month. April, March, those are the same. I'm pretty sure that's going to be like, this is my normal income. $3,800 is about my normal income for a month. So if you also watch Caleb Hammer, which I do, and I'm torn between, I can't tell whether I really, really like him or if I really, really don't like him. But I sure do. I do like watching his videos. I know that. Anyway, if you watch him, and he always asks what their income is. Now I know what my monthly income is. I'm going to say it's $3,800. Anyway, in March, in home, I spent $1,372.45. And in April, I somehow only spent $860.48, and that just tells me, and I'm thinking, and I'm not thinking, I know that is because I didn't pay my rent out of the April budget. I paid it out of my first week of May. So that's why this is so much lower. So $511.97 less in April than in March, but that is because I paid my rent out of my first week in May. So that's why. So my March was 36.5% of my budget, of my income, and April it was 22.33%. So that is why there's a difference there. For giving, I did a lot more giving in April. I did $195.67 of giving in March and $252.90 in April, for a difference of $56.33 more in April than in March. It was 6.5% of my income in April. Fun money, significantly more fun money spent in April. In March, I spent $226.24 for just about 6% of my income. And in April, I spent $438.28 for almost 11.4% of my income. That is $212.04 more in April than in March. Again, this is an extremely rare case for me. And that is because I did go to the Renaissance Fair as well this month. So that includes the Renaissance Fair. This includes some movies and a bunch of books and a lot of mental health. Like, I really needed to focus on my mental health this month. Subscriptions. These subscriptions are going to go like every other month because I have that Audible subscription, and it's an every other month subscription. So that's why it's always going to be a discrepancy from month to month. So $69.23 in March, which was 1.82% of my income, and then $43.26 in April, which is 1.12% of my income. It's a decrease of $25.97. Medical, I spent the exact same amount, which is because I have just auto drafts of like pre-budgeted things that are coming out. $141.33 in both March and April. It was a slightly higher percentage of my income in March just because I made slightly less in March than I did in April. So 3.71% of my income in March, 3.67% of my income in April. In debt, I paid significantly more debt in April than I did in March, but that is because I made 2 extra payments to my Capital One card. So I think I only made 1. But I paid $533.74 in March, which was 14.5% of my income. And in April, I paid $1,238.51 toward debt, and that was 32.16% of my income. That is an increase of $704.77. I'm very, very happy with this number, especially considering how much money I spent here. I'm very happy with that number. Previously budgeted in March, I spent $935.68. If you're new to my channel, that's going to seem really, really high. This is like basically sinking funds used. That is because I went on my cruise in March. So I had been saving up for a very long time to go on that cruise, and then I used all that money. So this was This is why I spent so much money in March, and that from this category. So $935.68 in March, which was 24.5%, almost 24.6% of my income. In April, I used $8 out of my sinking funds. That was self-care. I bought myself some flowers. And that was 0.2% of my income. So that was a decrease of $927.68 from 1 month to the next. This again, so just like this was an outlier, this was an outlier. You're always going to have those outlier months. My mom's bills. In March, I spent $147.22, which was 3.87% of my income. In April, I spent $458.49, which was 11.91% of my income. This was significantly higher, almost exactly $300 higher, because I got the propane. We should be good for the entire summer now, and I'm going to start saving up a sinking fund for her propane now that we have it good. I'm going to put that into my sinking funds like I have for my other ones. But it's going to, once I start my sinking funds again, which should be hopefully in July, I will put sinking fund for her stuff when I put my sinking funds back into my budget. So that's an increase of $311.27. And the $11.27 is because her car payment went up, $11.27. And the $300 is because the propane. And then the sinking funds saved. So this is how much money I saved into sinking funds or into my savings last month, $165.90, which was 4.36% of my income. In April, I was able to save $411, which was 10.67% of my income. So that is an increase of $245.10. So even though I did have a very spendy month on things like my fund money and paying off some debt and getting my mom propane, I still did manage to put an extra $245.10 toward my savings. So I'm very happy with that. That is really the only thing that I am doing currently. I'm not tracking my debt payoff because that's not my focus right now, other than obviously my what do you call it? Saver One card. And I'm not tracking my sinking funds because I'm not putting any money into them right now because I'm trying to pay off that Saver One card. So that's the only thing I'm doing for my closeouts right now. I really hope that was helpful if you are trying to figure out how to do the closeout for your own budget mom categories right now. There is a debt payment plan that I do print out, but I have not used it yet this year. I do want to start doing it. I just haven't. So maybe in the next month or two, I will start doing it. I really should. I really should start doing that, but I haven't yet. Anyway, I hope that you find this useful, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please, will you give it a thumbs up on your way out if you did enjoy it? And if you are finding this useful and you're interested in following this or any of my other journeys, please hit that subscribe button and come along with me. I hope that you are having a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will talk to you later. Bye.